Robert Whittaker may be considering a major shift in his UFC career as he looks ahead to 2026. At the moment, there is still no official confirmation regarding Whittaker's next fight, and the former middleweight champion has been absent from competition since July. That outing marked another setback in a difficult stretch, as Whittaker is currently on a two-fight losing streak following defeats to Rainier de Ridder and Khamzat Chimaev. With the middleweight title picture moving on and several matchups no longer available, questions have begun to surface about what direction Whittaker will take next. Earlier in the year, Whittaker expressed interest in facing Sean Strickland on a potential White House card, but those plans never materialized after Strickland booked a fight against Anthony Hernandez. However, new insight emerged during a recent episode of the MMA Arcade podcast, where Whittaker spoke openly about his future alongside co-host Johnny Rose. During the discussion, Whittaker revealed that he is targeting a return to the octagon sometime in mid-2026. More notably, he admitted that he is seriously entertaining the idea of moving up to the light heavyweight division. Whittaker explained that he has been spending time developing new skill sets and experimenting with different approaches in training. While he is not committed to leaving middleweight permanently, he acknowledged that the possibility of competing at 205 pounds is becoming increasingly appealing. According to Whittaker, concerns about size and height have followed him throughout his career, regardless of the division. He pointed out that most of his opponents already enjoy advantages in height and reach, making the transition to light heavyweight less intimidating than some critics suggest. He also noted that he feels physically bigger now than he did earlier in his career, and believes a change in division could reignite his motivation. Rather than overthinking the move, Whittaker framed it as an opportunity to challenge himself in a new environment and test his skills against a different set of opponents. Reactions from the MMA community have been mixed but largely intrigued. Some analysts argue that Whittaker's speed, experience, and technical striking could give him an edge in a division that lacks depth compared to others. Suggested matchups, such as a potential fight against Dominic Reyes, have already sparked discussion. Others caution that Whittaker has historically struggled against taller fighters and tends to focus heavily on headhunting, which could be risky at 205 pounds. Still, many believe the move could be a smart reset for Whittaker's career and offer him a fresh path forward as he approaches the next chapter of his UFC journey. A potential UFC main event appears to have been leaked, generating significant buzz among MMA fans. Recent reports suggest that a high-stakes featherweight clash between Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy is officially set to headline UFC London on March 24th. While the matchup was initially rumored to be in the works, new information indicates that contracts have now been signed, strongly suggesting the fight is locked in as the main event. The leak reportedly came from journalist Kevin Kay, who shared an update on social media, stating that, according to his sources, the bout between Evloev and Murphy has been finalized. If accurate, this confirms that the UFC has booked a pivotal #1 contender fight in the featherweight division. Both fighters have been campaigning for an opportunity to face the winner of the upcoming title rematch between Diego Lopes and Alexander Volkanovski, and this matchup appears to be the organization's solution. Tensions between the two contenders began to rise weeks earlier, when the UFC announced that Diego Lopes would receive a title shot against Volkanovski instead of either Evloev or Murphy. Lerone Murphy publicly expressed his frustration, stating that missing the chance to fight one of the greatest featherweights of all time was the most painful aspect of the decision. He emphasized that merit seemed to take a back seat to popularity, suggesting that title opportunities are no longer solely determined by competitive achievements. Movsar Evloev also reacted to the announcement, but took a more direct approach. Rather than focusing solely on the perceived injustice, Evloev issued a public challenge to Murphy, proposing a #1 contender fight on the same card as the championship bout. He made it clear that he was ready to prove his position at the top of the division and invited Murphy to do the same. If this leaked main event is legitimate, it confirms that the UFC has embraced Evloev's proposal. The fight would determine the next challenger for the featherweight title, with the winner expected to face whoever emerges victorious from the Volkanovski vs. Lopes rematch. The stakes could not be higher, as both Evloev and Murphy are undefeated in the UFC and currently riding impressive winning streaks. When these two finally collide, one fighter's unbeaten run will come to an end. The matchup promises a compelling clash of styles, elite skill sets, and championship implications. With a title shot hanging in the balance, UFC London could deliver one of the most consequential featherweight fights in recent memory. Joe Rogan has sparked major discussion within the MMA community after revealing rumors surrounding Alex Pereira's next potential opponent. Pereira was previously linked to a highly anticipated showdown against Jon Jones at the rumored UFC White House event. However, those plans were thrown into question after Pereira publicly stated that he would not be competing on that card. His statement led many fans to wonder whether his move up to heavyweight was still on the table, or if plans had changed behind the scenes. According to Rogan, despite Pereira ruling out the White House event, the buzz around his next fight still points toward a heavyweight matchup. Rogan explained that there has been considerable chatter suggesting Pereira could face Ciryl Gane next. While Rogan was clear in stating that he has not personally discussed the matchup with UFC President Dana White, he emphasized that the rumors are coming from individuals with strong connections to the organization. That alone has made the speculation difficult to ignore. Rogan added that the idea of Pereira competing at heavyweight is far from illogical. He noted that Pereira is currently weighing around 240 pounds or more, putting him firmly within the heavyweight range. Rogan also highlighted Pereira's historic punching power, pointing out that his striking force has been recorded as some of the most devastating ever measured in combat sports. In Rogan's view, Pereira possesses the ability to knock out heavyweights just as effectively as he has done in lower weight classes. The speculation surrounding Ciryl Gane as a possible opponent may also be tied to the current state of the heavyweight division. With Tom Aspinall reportedly sidelined due to upcoming eye surgery, Gane could be left without a clear opponent for an extended period. That situation could open the door for a fresh and high-profile matchup against Pereira, which would undoubtedly draw massive interest from fans. Adding further intrigue, Pereira recently shared footage of himself lightly sparring with his son. The clip appeared to show that the foot fracture he suffered in October during his fight with Magomed Ankalaev is healing well and nearing full recovery. This development is notable given Pereira's decision to step away from the White House card, suggesting that his absence may be related more to negotiations than injury concerns. There has also been speculation that Pereira may have been dissatisfied with the UFC's terms for the proposed fight. Historically, Pereira has not shied away from voicing frustration with the promotion, including past incidents where he later claimed his social media accounts were compromised. As the situation continues to unfold, fans will be watching closely to see whether Pereira changes his stance or officially commits to a heavyweight debut against Ciryl Gane. Sean O'Malley has once again made his case for being included on the highly anticipated UFC White House card. As discussions continue behind the scenes and the event begins to take shape ahead of February, O'Malley believes his presence would make sense, especially if he delivers a strong performance at UFC 324. Should he defeat Song Yadong on that card, O'Malley feels his argument to compete on one of the biggest UFC stages of all time becomes difficult to ignore. On his most recent podcast, O'Malley openly addressed the current landscape of the UFC and the apparent shortage of available superstars for the White House event. He pointed out that many of the promotion's biggest names are either unavailable, uninterested, or seemingly ruled out. Fighters such as Conor McGregor remain uncertain, while Jon Jones, Ilia Topuria, and Alex Pereira have all been linked to situations that suggest they may not be part of the card. With those names potentially off the table, O'Malley questioned who else the UFC could realistically rely on to headline or bolster such a historic event. O'Malley acknowledged that he is coming off 2 losses, which complicates his position. However, he emphasized that he is still one of the UFC's most recognizable figures and remains a proven draw. He suggested that a statement win in his next fight could quickly shift the narrative in his favor. In his view, star power is a major factor for an event of this magnitude, and he believes the UFC may struggle to find American-based superstars who fit that requirement. During the discussion, O'Malley also touched on comments made by Sean Strickland, who publicly stated he would not compete on the White House card. With additional uncertainty surrounding other high-profile fighters, O'Malley reiterated that the UFC may have limited options when it comes to assembling a lineup that matches the scale and significance of the event. Beyond his own situation, O'Malley praised Tony Ferguson for his recent boxing performance, noting that Ferguson looked sharp and energetic against a young professional boxer. He highlighted Ferguson's aggression, resilience, and confidence, especially after scoring a knockdown and urging his opponent to continue. O'Malley expressed genuine happiness for Ferguson, pointing out that the victory marked a positive stretch for the veteran fighter. Finally, the conversation shifted briefly to the bantamweight division, where strong praise was given to Petr Yan. O'Malley described Yan as an elite competitor with an aggressive and entertaining style, stating that he believes Yan would consistently defeat Merab Dvalishvili. While admitting some bias, O'Malley made it clear that he remains a big fan of Yan's approach and overall skill set inside the octagon. Paulo Costa has officially withdrawn from his scheduled bout at UFC 326, sending shockwaves through the MMA community and raising fresh questions about the state of the middleweight division. The announcement comes as a major setback for the event, as Costa was expected to play a significant role on the card and potentially re-establish himself as a top contender with a strong performance. According to reports, Costa's withdrawal was not entirely unexpected given his history of injuries, contract disputes, and last-minute complications. While the UFC has not immediately disclosed the full details behind his decision to pull out, Sources suggest that a combination of health concerns and unresolved issues may have contributed to the situation. As of now, there is no official confirmation regarding whether Costa will be rescheduled for a later date or if the promotion will move in a different direction altogether. Costa's absence leaves a noticeable hole in the UFC 326 lineup. Known for his explosive striking style, durability, and larger-than-life personality, Costa remains one of the most recognizable figures in the middleweight division. Fans had been eager to see whether he could regain momentum following a turbulent stretch marked by inactivity and mixed results inside the octagon. His withdrawal now delays that comeback yet again. The UFC is expected to act quickly to adjust the card. Options include finding a short-notice replacement for Costa's opponent, reshuffling bouts already scheduled on the card, or potentially removing the matchup entirely. With UFC 326 approaching, time will be a critical factor in determining how the promotion responds. The organization has faced similar challenges before and often prioritizes preserving the overall strength and marketability of its pay-per-view events. Reactions from fans have been divided. Some expressed frustration, pointing to Costa's pattern of pulling out of fights and questioning his reliability as a competitor. Others urged patience, acknowledging that fighter health and contract stability remain complex issues behind the scenes. Regardless of perspective, Costa's withdrawal once again highlights the unpredictable nature of fight bookings at the highest level. For Paulo Costa, the future remains uncertain. Once viewed as a potential middleweight champion, his career has stalled due to extended layoffs and limited appearances. Whether this latest setback motivates a renewed commitment or leads to further delays will be closely watched by both the UFC and its fan base. As the dust settles, attention now turns to the UFC's next move and how UFC 326 will ultimately take shape. Fans can expect further updates as more information becomes available in the coming days.